Which profession hires the dumbest people? Cooks in the Navy. When you enlist in the Navy, they test your aptitude and give you a list of jobs available to you based on your results. If you score in the bottom 5th percentile, you have one job available to you: cook. Cooks in the Navy are some dumb mother duckers. TSA employees. I don't think half of them even have their GEDs/high school diplomas. Every time I go, I have to explain the concept of dual citizenship at least 4 times. One time my brother was traveling with his cat, and airport security tried to x-ray his cat. My brother went, "What the duck? I'm not letting you do that." And he went through without it. There was a group I was in, years ago, with this guy named Mike in it. Mike was a very nice guy, not a mean bone in his body. Married with 3 kids, but unemployed, so his wife worked. He could never get a job anywhere, because he had no qualifications, and he just couldn't see patterns in stuff. Even in our group he'd just sit there happily without saying anything for hours. We tried to ask him a few times if he'd like to chime in, or what he was thinking, and he genuinely had nothing going on upstairs. Suddenly, he applied to the sheriff's department and got hired, and they loved him. He's been there 4 years. That changed my view of the sheriff's department. There are positions for people like Mike. The sheriff's department needs people who can handle just take this person's hand, take their fingerprints, and pass the paperwork along for 8 hours a day, every day, without going crazy. FedEx, UPS, some factory worker positions, etc., are all pivotal to society, but if you're a type to think too much you won't want to do them for very long. Factory worker here. I like my job for that exact same reason. Come in, flip switch, check part, fix part, check part, pass part to next stage. It sort of allows me to put as little thought into it that I can think about other stuff. I'm never stressed out when I leave. Maybe I am dumb. From my experience, real estate. They can be great at their job, but I've met agents that make me wonder how they can function in the rest of their life. I moved out of state and had a real estate agent show me around some apartments. At the first property, she asked me where I was from, so I told her outside Detroit. She asked where that was, and I told her Michigan. She was still confused, and asked if Michigan was in Arizona. The tour pretty much ended there. How are multi-level marketing and pyramid scheme not at the top of this list? MLM higher-ups and recruiters are amazing scammers. Only the people at the bottom getting ripped off are dumb as duck. And selling for an MLM is not a job. It's your new debt. So, I work in a pawn store. Some of my co-workers who have been there forever are real smart cookies, but a majority of applicants are dumb as duck. When I first walked in and asked for an application, I was handed a sheet of paper and told to read it before I could have an application. It said that you shouldn't apply if you're prone to oversleeping, frequently get flat tires, don't have steady child care, and a bunch of other common sense things that apply to pretty much any job. My first thought was, what kind of first class morons do they usually get applying for this job? Warehousing. We have no educational requirements at all. We have people who are functionally illiterate, and health and safety briefs have to be read out to them. In addition, we do not vet new staff members at all, really. Our training procedures are laid out to in theory make them 100% idiot proof, 200% checks, remote and physical supervision, etc. Yet we still get people who have been employed for 3+ years making week 1 mistakes as they forgot how to do a task they had completed a few hundred times before. One guy's ability to follow tasks was so bad, we physically had to print out his worksheets, with multiple copies for when he lost the first 2 or 3, and make him read the instructions back to us to make sure he got it. Honestly, I reckon if I was allowed, I'd sack around 10 to 15% of the workforce, and we'd either have no loss in production or even a marginal gain in stock accuracy. I worked with a guy named Dave at a moving company. In our lunchroom we had a microwave, and on top of that was a phone. One day Dave comes in, puts a burrito in the microwave on high for a minute, goes back into the warehouse. He comes back 58 seconds later, the microwave beeps, he walks over and picks up the phone. Hello? Hello? Hangs up. Ducking idiots. And left again. And never came back for the burrito. The food service industry hires some of the most incompetent people out there. It's a constant battle between lack of common sense and inability to perform the easiest tasks. Duck Buffalo Wild Wings. Source: worked for them for a while and saw it firsthand. Apparently construction. Apparently my dad's boss is getting frustrated because almost every job applicant has a drug problem, it seems. Edit: copy and pasting from one of my comments to clarify this problem. My dad is pretty lenient on pot. Everyone in the industry know drug testing is common, so if you're in the market to hop or looking for work, you should know not to get high. That being said, oftentimes he'll ask young kids if they would pass, and if they just stare blankly, he tells them to come back in a month. Insurance requires a clean drug test, so even if he doesn't personally have a problem with it, he still needs a clean drug test to hire someone. But harder shit is out of your system much quicker. So if someone can't stay off pain pills or coke or something long enough to pass a test, almost always they have a significant problem. Oil sands. Outside of trade/professional jobs. Some of the absolutely biggest morons in the world, who get paid astronomical amounts of money to basically lift heavy things and drive vehicles. And then when the economy crashes they blame the evil government, because nobody wants to hire somebody with a drug habit, a 70 IQ, and a lifted truck with brass balls on the hitch. Anything that requires actors. I run a small production company, so I need actors frequently. Let me tell you, these are the single dumbest people in the entire world, but the golden ticket is that they're not just dumb, they're pretentious dumb. Dumb but trying really hard to make their brand of dumb seem deep and insightful. I had one actor, while filming a commercial for a goddamned yogurt, ask me, but would my character really look at the yogurt right now? I feel like they'd wait another couple of seconds before looking down. This character had no name. Literally the only thing they did was to look at the yogurt. Actor was trying to impress me with her try hard approach. Spoiler, doesn't work. One time I was filming a PDF software commercial, and I told the actor that I'd be filming in a high frame rate so that I could slow it down. He didn't really get it, so I just said, it's a slow motion shot, you don't need to worry about it, so just go at regular speed. I had to explain this repeatedly over 5 takes, that the camera was making it slow motion, and that he didn't have to. I had to explicitly tell him twice to not do it in slow motion. Guy made ducking slow-mo FX noises in slow motion as he moved his hands across the keys, on more than one occasion. At one point when I told him to do it in regular speed, he responded, "Oh car A," paused, and then said, "Oh. Okay," before promptly going back to slow motion. If I hadn't been with him for like 4 hours, I'd have sworn he was high. That guy was the worst. Like honestly, his sandwich was missing some mustard, but almost all of them do this thing where you're giving them direction and they'll nod and say yes at the exact moments that they need to be taking in information. Okay, so when you pick up the cup I need you to, yeah, okay, make sure that you're not looking into the, gotcha. Most frustrating thing in the world. God, I hate actors. My buddy works as an electrician. He regularly works with plumbers, and says that on a near hourly basis, he hears phrases like, NNDO or RR. And plum. My favorite is, I am Lordy, ya. All of which are unprovoked and out of the blue. I'm software engineer, will make random noises, so my voice box won't atrophy. Haven't really talked to another human being in forever. Send help. Dumb is unfair. But those who work as a sales rep for every industry I've been a part of were terrible with computers. I'm sales rep for a pretty complex industry. We just hired a lady with 20 years of sales experience who literally doesn't know how to use her laptop. It's a ducking nightmare. My first desktop support role, a lady called me because all her desktop icons were gone, when the reality was her battery was dead, and the laptop wouldn't even turn on. That was when I learned you can't trust people to explain a problem to you. Middle management at nearly every major company. These are people that typically have failed upwards. They are not decision makers, and they weren't irreplaceable enough in their previous role. They have enough power to interfere with daily operations without the foresight to understand the impact of their power trip. Guitar center salesman. You need 5 of them, and 2 managers to buy a kazoo. My business partner went to a guitar center, was looking around, and they had a Marshall amp, without a price tag. He asks, "How much?" They go, "Well, it's busted, mister, we were going to send it back." He's like, "Seriously, I'm an engineer, I might be able to fix it." "How much?" They are like, $99, that's what it would cost us to freight it back. He's like, "Okay." So, 3 days later, he's trying to find every set of schematics, and I'm like, "You bought this at Guitar Center, because they couldn't get it to work. Let's just plug it in, and reset the circuit breaker." It powered up just fine. Dumb SOB sold him a $2,000 amp for $99. Best we can tell, they never plugged it in, or the outlet was dead. Note, I told him, "Let's plug it in and reset the circuit breaker." I didn't actually reset a breaker. TLDR, we plugged it in, it worked fine. Food service. I'm a waitress/bartender, and it's amazing. The amount of stupid people they hire and then they leave a few weeks later because they can't hack being busy. Or they call in a lot and still have their jobs, while the good employees get fed up at being understaffed and leave, because the standards are so low and they go unrecognized for actually being good at their jobs. The government. Source, 31 years working with them. Yep. I'm a skilled and motivated government worker, and I often feel like I'm replaying my last job on easy mode with all the weapons and upgrades. You should see my superiors' eyes light up when I complete a task on the same day they ask me to do it. For some reason, every single oil refineries have a couple of engineers and operators who don't really do anything, but they're forever, and have very strong views that are almost hilarious, both liberal and conservative whackers. Usually job title like safety engineer, or maintenance planner 3. Safety engineer here, let me tell you about the Illuminati. That exposed wire is caused by the Jews. Telemarketers. If you ask them specific questions about the product they are trying to sell and specifics of the warranty, they often have no idea how to respond accurately and professionally. That's because they have a single sell sheet usually. New day, new pitch. Worked as a telemarketer, don't hurt me, the alternative was homelessness, and this is true. Typically we were given about 1 hour training, had a DOS system to enter customer answers, and 1 sheet of paper outlining info they think we need. It's unbelievably difficult to have an actual conversation about a product when you're not allowed to know much about it.